Hey, good afternoon. Glad you're here. I'm Stan Malden. I'm one of the coaches at Do Deals. And Tim, you're with us today too. You want to say hello?
Yep. Hello, everybody. How's everybody doing today? Welcome to this week's coaching webinar. And I'm excited. It's one of those very special days where we have Stan we're gonna call these shows now. We're not gonna call them webinars anymore. That's like so old school now.
Oh, now we have shows, huh?
Right. So now we're calling these shows now, and so it's really cool to have Stan with us on today's show, and he's going to be taking the lead and teaching you guys some good stuff. So I'm excited. We have good news to share too with the Live Deals TV that kicked off today. So let them know about that.
Well, yeah, go ahead. I mean, what we've been doing is the Diamond members, the apprentice students, have been doing Live Deals TV quite a bit of the day today, 4 or 5 hours today, and they're starting again at 5 o'clock. So Jeff Quigg from Branson, Missouri is on there now. So you guys go watch Jeff. This is going to be old stuff to you, but Jeff's going to be fun. Anyhow, they're on there doing deals, and I've talked to a couple of them already, and they're already saying, hey, this was it was fun, and B, it was pretty neat to get some deals going that they've been not using the phone as much as they could or should.
Right. You know, if anything else is, to me, I think it's like the greatest accountability tool. I don't think we could have ever invented a better accountability tool than that.
Yeah, I think it turned out real well.
Right.
Well, go ahead.
Have any of you guys on the line right now have not seen the Live Deals TV yet? Like maybe you haven't seen Stan do it, or don't even know what it is, what we're talking about, or do you all know what we're talking about with the Live Deals TV already? Anybody not know? Okay. Well, cool. If you already know, then I highly suggest that you start your own show, just like what the other students are doing right now, and just make the calls. It doesn't, if you don't have anybody to share to watch the show, just tell your mom and dad and grandparents if you have any. Tell any real estate investors that you know to come on and watch your show, and it's just an absolutely amazing accountability tool.
Yeah, it's what you and I were talking about. I guess we were online last night, and I was telling you that there's a real estate investor in Oregon that has his own show now. I think it's called Hot Deals Live. I think that's what he's calling his.
Okay.
So just hop on, guys. That's where you get your business. And as my wife said, this is becoming the new social tool for all of us. Instead of going to the Rotary Club and the chamber and all that kind of stuff, it's all happening online nowadays. So this is where your people are going to be. This is where your peers are going to be, and this is where your sellers and buyers are going to be eventually.
Right.
All right. Well, let's get started. As a former teacher, I always think it's really good sometimes to go back and let's just think about some of the basics and think about kind of the beginning and how we can do some deals and how we can structure our day a little better and just move forward. So this is going to be a go backwards day for a lot of us, and there's a lot of information here, and it's a lot of it on the tax credit, and there's a lot of things just basic information. And I know that I've got a couple of new students that are going to see this again at 7 o'clock. So let's just go through a couple of these things. All right. What we're looking for, folks, is we're looking for motivated sellers. Now, you've got to understand what a motivated seller is. If you're not even new to the business, I know there's times when I just want to do a deal, and I may do a deal and go, oh, that guy was not as motivated as I thought he was or he needs to be. So let's just think about it. A motivated seller is not someone who wants to sell. That's someone who must sell. And we define that as they need to sell it more than they need air, that their house is choking them. And those are the kind of motivated sellers we're looking for. And with the economy the way it is and our world the way it is, there's a lot of motivated sellers out there. Now, of course, the next question would be, Tim, where would we find all these motivated sellers?
Well, the easiest place to find them, of course, is on dodeals.com.
Absolutely. So if you've seen Live Deals TV and if you've seen what we're doing today, we have enough leads on Do Deals to supply 18 or 20 students with deals that they will not run out. And we could all be calling the same area, and there's enough leads that we could be sharing those same leads and still be making deals, okay? So you need to be looking at Do Deals every single day. And for those of you who've seen the Live Deals show that I do at 9 a.m., I go to Do Deals and just start on page 1 and start calling. It's really, really simple. And Tim, by the way, I talked to a lady this morning, and I thought it was going to be a short sale. We ended up doing a flex option. She's about 30 days behind, and we're going to do an owner finance. We're going to try that first and see if we can get her caught up, because she doesn't want to mess up her credit. But that's the kind of deals we're doing every day, guys. Is every single day there's a flex option going out of my email, and most days there's one coming back. So all I'm doing, if you've seen Live Deals, is just making those calls, okay? So let's think about this. There's two ways to buy anything, basically. It's with cash or with terms. And terms is how much down and how much a month. So if you're doing a wholesale deal, those tend to be cash, or they need to get a loan, which to use cash, you're going to cash a check. Or we need to have structured terms for them, and that would be the owner financing deals, okay? So what does a real deal look like? And if you're kind of new, just write these down. For our group, there's 3 basic deals, and I know that there's a gazillion ways to do deals, but there's 3 basic ones that we're working on right now, not including REOs. So a wholesale deal is a house that has equity, and we're defining that as 60% ARV minus repairs. So let's say that we have a $100,000 house, and of the $100,000 house, they want $60,000, and you've got $10,000 worth of repairs. So let's say you can buy it at $50,000. Then that's a wholesale deal. Now, these are not hard and fast rules by any stretch. So if I say, well, I've got a wholesale deal, but it's a 70% equity. I've got a 30% equity in the house, so it's at 70% ARV, but it's in the most desirable neighborhood in my city. Then that could be, in fact, a wholesale deal. Okay, so just because I say 60%, that's not a hard and fast rule. These are just guidelines. So be looking for deals that have got pretty good equity in them. And then if you don't have quite 60%, then look at the area and see if that's an area that people want to live. It's somewhere in Houston or Dallas, it's close to downtown, and they'll pay a little more for those kinds of properties, and they still could be wholesale deals. Okay. Now a retail deal for us is deals that have little or no equity in them, and they have their payments are current. Okay, those are all retail deals, and right now we're doing owner financing with those and using that $8,000 government grant. So beyond that, you could still be working on a retail deal and still make some money if it's in an incredibly desirable area. If it was in Houston, the Memorial area, something like that, and it had not a ton of equity, but some equity, you could still make that work and flip that house. But for the most part right now, we're looking for houses that we can own or finance. Those houses are $100,000, $120,000, and payments around $1,000 a month, okay? And then if they're not current, that becomes a short sale, or we could do a deed in lieu, but more often than not, we're looking for short sales. So the 3 things we're looking for right now with the apprentice group is we're looking for owner financing first. We're looking for wholesale deals and short sales deals as they come to us, but mostly we're focusing on owner finance. Now, Tim, you want to tell them why we're doing owner finance first with that $8K tax credit?
Well, the main reason why we're doing owner financing is because of how easy the deal is and how easy for us to get those money. And our opportunity to do it is it's running out here. President Obama gave us this gift, I guess, this free money, and it's going to expire on April 30th. That's when the contract must be in by, and so it allows us to do deals that basically have no equity at all, and structure good terms for the buyer to get in. And the government is giving the first-time home buyer up to $8,000, 10%, or up to $8,000 to be able to get into one of these homes. And so basically we can find a home that's even, let's say it's worth $100,000, the seller's selling it for $100,000, we still can mark it up to $108,000 and sell it and make at least $8,000 as our fee because of the free money that comes in from the government for that. So that's the main reason why we're doing it.
Right. Well, let's just go through that real quick so everybody understands. This is really, we're calling it now not a tax credit. What are you calling it now? Grant, the $8,000 grant. Right. And how come you're calling it a grant?
The reason I would call it a grant is because it's not a tax credit in the original term when this program first started. It used to be that the government would give you a tax credit. So if you owed the government money, then that goes toward that, and so if you owe them whatever $10,000, then you would get credit for $8,000. But it's a grant because you don't need to owe the government any money. And so it doesn't get applied to your tax credit. They just send you a check for it. So it's more of a grant than it is a tax tax credit.
Okay, so let's just talk about that. This started in 2008 when then President Bush signed this into law. Now, as Tim said, it's gone from a tax credit to basically it's gone into a grant type situation. So basically they're crediting all this money to you. So they opened this law to allow creative selling techniques and strategies to be used to sell houses. Prior to like July, you had to have a mortgage and buy it with cash, something like that. But now you can do a wraparound mortgage, or if you're in some other states, you can do a land contract or contract for deed. And those now qualify for the $8,000 tax credit, okay? So it's gone from a tax credit to a tax refund. So let's think about, as you're working these, think about who qualifies, and just think about this again. People who have not owned another principal residence in the last 3 years or had a foreclosure in the last 5 years. Now this has expanded a little bit to where they're now doing not first-time home buyers. A first-time home buyer is someone who has not owned a principal residence in the last 3 years. They're now saying you could have owned that, but you would have had to have owned your own home 5 out of the last 8 years, and then there's $6,500 for those people as well. And we've done one of those 60 credits, and it worked really well. And that's some of the. It turned out to be that was enough money that helped her get in, and it turned out to be that turned out our profit as well. Okay, so it turned out well. So people who qualify for this, it has to be sold on or before April 30th, 2010. And it has to be closed before June the 30th. The property must be located in the United States, and it must be an arm's length transaction. So it can't be my mother selling the house to me, that kind of thing. It can't be grandchildren, grandparents selling the house. And the buyer must be a U.S. citizen or a resident alien. And Tim, this last week we had three Hispanic couples that came by. The wife was a U.S. citizen, and the husband had applied to get his Social Security number to become a resident alien. And that, I think, is going to be a huge market in the next 2 or 3 months that we figure this out. In the next 2 months, March and April. I had a realtor call me yesterday. She said that she has people that have up to $10,000 down plus the tax credit, The only issue is he's not a resident alien yet, but he's applied for it. So we're just waiting for him to get all of his paperwork put together, and that should happen in the next, year or two, and then they can close out a loan. They all have good jobs, and I think that's a great market for us. So anyhow, we must have a combined gross income of if you're just one of you, that's 125,000, and if you're married, it can't be over 250,000. According to the IRS, boats and mobile homes are also considered a home. So if you guys know someone that's trying to sell a yacht, you could apply for the tax credit if you chose to buy one of those or get into one of those. If you're married, and one of you has owned the home in the past 3 years, then neither person is going to qualify for the credit. A purchase from a step relative is allowed under the law, okay? So it can't be a grandmother or grandfather, but it can be a step relative. Let's see. There must be a sale, and the IRS says one of the factors to make it a sale, if the taxpayer obtains the benefits and burdens of ownership of the residence in a seller financing arrangement, then that is and they get legal title, then that is a real sale, okay? So that's what a real sale is in the eyes of the IRS. Okay, factors that you guys need to be aware of is they must take the right of possession. They must obtain legal title upon full payment of the purchase price. They have the right to construct improvements. They have the obligation to pay property taxes. And the IRS looks at those two words, the right to construct and the obligation to pay taxes. And then the third one is the risk of loss, the responsibility to insure the property, and the duty to maintain the property. These came right out of the IRS handbook, so these are the exact words the IRS is looking for to determine ownership. Now, these are Tim's profit points. You want to sell your property to a first-time home buyer. When you do that, you just be sure that they conform to all the guidelines, or you're going to be wasting your time, okay? The maximum check you will receive under this program is $8,000 for a first-time home buyer, $6,500 for someone who owns a house now. And basically, it's a 10% of the sales price. So if you had a $50,000 house, then the most that the IRS would contribute would be $5,000. You must also get a 2838, IRS Form 2838, which is a power of attorney. If you don't have that, then just go to the IRS website, and it's on there. Type in IRS Form 2838, and it'll pop right up on your screen. And just print it. It's a PDF document, so that's where you can find that. And then basically you sell the house, then you have a tax accountant prepare the paperwork and review the contract and make sure that it conforms to the IRS rules. And then you need to be sure that you get paid. And that's what you want to be sure is that you have some verbiage in your contract that says if the person that is buying the house, if they don't get the $8,000 sales price, then you're going to tack that onto the sales price if they don't get the tax credit. Or you need to make sure that the check comes to your CPA so that you and the buyer can go cash that together, or you can make a checking account together, or you can have a power of attorney and see if the bank will cash that without the buyer. So there's 3 or 4 ways to cash that check, okay? And I can go over those again in just a while. Okay, now here's some of the gotchas on this. The buyer must stay in the property as their primary residence for 3 years. Okay, if they don't stay there for 3 years, the IRS says the obligation to repay the credit on the home purchased in 2010 arises only if the home ceases to be your principal resident within 36 months. If that happens, if you don't live there for 36 months, then the IRS will come back to those buyers for the full credit amount, okay? So they will come back for the entire $8,000. They won't say, well, gee, you lived there 32 months. We're going to give you a prorated amount. They're going to come back and get all the $8,000, all right? So those are the rules in the game there. So just some rules for you. Just be sure that you price it right. Let's say that you have a $100,000 house. We kind of use, in the apprentice group, we kind of use the rule that you can be about 10% above above market and still be okay, but don't go too much beyond that. Now, the questions always arise, well, can I go 10.65? It's like, yeah, it's pretty close. Don't try to go $100,000 house and sell it for 150,000. That all you're going to do is set those people up where they can't refinance it in 3 years. So you want to price the house right, and then you want to give the buyer plenty of time to perform. Now, to perform means to get his credit straightened out. So look at the buyer's credit, and if you look at it and go, okay, this guy, if he can just get one or two more little odds and ends put together, he can qualify for an FHA loan. We can probably do that in 18 months, 24 months, something like that. And then go ahead and write the contract that way. But if he's got more than a couple of little nicks in there, be sure you give him plenty of time to get those repaired before you make him go out and have to refinance that house, okay? And then you want to make your monthly payments fair and reasonable. I had a young man that was trying to sell a house in spring, and he quoted me a price of $1,000 a month, and I brought him the buyer, and he said, well, that's going to be $1,300 a month. It's like, gee, for $1,300 a month, they can buy a really nice house for that kind of money. So just make sure that they're reasonable. He wanted to charge them 14% interest. You know, don't do those kinds of things. Just make it fair so that it's good for both parties. You want to give them a nice house, and then you want to show them the tools so they can do their own homework and get their own credit repaired. Okay. So Tim, that's kind of the 8K in the nutshell right there, isn't it? That's kind of it.
That's pretty much it. Yep.
Oops. Let me get to where I can see. You guys still see my screen here? I'm not sure what I'm showing you.
Yes.
There we go. All right. So we can do any kind of questions that we have, and be glad to answer any of those. Okay. So Tim, what do we do if we find motivated sellers through due deals but can't put back the same property into your site? So let's say that they found it on I guess motivated sellers, and they want to put it again on wholesale deals.
Okay, so you got it under contract and you want to put it again on wholesale deals. That should work. I guess you could you can send a request to support to look into that. So if you give us the address of the property, we can help you with that.
How about the functionality on Ustream? Judy's asking about that. Do you have any ideas for that, or any clues for that?
The functionality on Ustream?
Yeah, you know, sometimes when I go to do deals, I click, you know, every day, Tim, I click you on. So, and we've talked about this. I'm listening to you as I'm putting my stuff together for 9 o'clock.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes it lets me in on do deals, and sometimes it doesn't. So what I do is I just go to Ustream because I know a Happy Hour TV is going to be on right then. So I just go to Ustream and search for Happy Hour TV, and voila, there you are.
Right.
But I know how to get around that. But I guess I'm probably thinking Judy's asking the same thing. Sometimes when I click you, it shows you for about a second and a half, and then you're gone.
Yeah, I don't know.
Okay. Maria's asking, I have first-time cash buyers, but can only find deals through agents' listings. I don't get that. Do you have any guide for these type of deals with cash buyers? Maria, honestly, I'd go through due deals and find those. You know, those deals are everywhere in due deals. I just have to call them and find them.
For what type of deals?
She has cash buyers.
Okay.
And she says, but she can only find deals through listings on the MLS.
I'm not sure. Maybe we should unmute her.
Yeah,
and,
let me find more.
Ask more questions. I mean, of course, it's easier to find on the MLS because there's more properties, you know, because it's just any property. It doesn't have to be motivated sellers for due deals. We don't try to list any and all properties. We only want to focus on distressed sellers.
Right.
So yeah, and so if you're looking for non-distressed properties, then non-distressed property, non-distressed seller, then due diligence is not the best place for you to find them. The MLS would be a better place.
So,
But the thing with the MLS is it's open to the public, so anybody can go on the MLS and find a house. So there's going to be less chance that that buyer is going to be what would be the word here? Loyal to you, I guess. Because why would they want to pay more when they can just go on the MLS and buy it for less?
right. Hey, Maria, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay,
How are
Maria.
you?
Yeah, what's happening is I have these cash buyers that have on hand between 60,000 and 85,000, and I've been trying to get deals for them cash buying through your site, but I haven't been able to find anything in my area. And they find sometime and come to me. They've been loyal to me, but then it's through an agent. What would I do?
Well, I mean, I assume you're not an agent, right?
No, I'm not.
Right. So there's really nothing much you can do with those. You can't really charge them any fee, because then you would be considered as doing real estate without a license. So you really
But
need
if
to,
I have an agent working with me, can't I buy that property? And do I A to B or then B to C?
you can. You can. Are you going to buy it for less than what they could have go and buy it for?
Yes.
Okay. Then yeah, certainly you can do that. You can you can get a property under contract, try to close on it, and then turn around and sell it, then double close it to them. Certainly.
Yeah, because it's going to really depend on the negotiations, how
Right.
much I can get for how much less can I get for.
Right.
And since the agent, she doesn't have an agent anyway, but I do.
Right.
And my agent, I said, this is what I offer. And I have a dual closing, how you call a
Right. A double
closing the same
closing. Yeah.
day. But
Yeah,
then I have
You
the
certainly can
expense.
do that.
But then I have the expenses of the funding too, right?
Well, it depends on the title company that you can find, but if you can't find one that is going to let you do a double closing with your buyer's funds since they're using cash, then you will need to have a transactional lender involved in the middle to fund your first transaction between you and your seller, and then your buyer can fund the transaction between you and your buyer.
Oh, I see. So how you call those transactions without the transactional fund?
How do you call them?
Is it directly from the seller to the buyer?
No. The transactional funder is a lender that's going to loan you the money
I know.
to close between you and your seller.
Right.
Okay, and then after that, you close between you and your buyer.
But you said earlier, if my escrow company
Oh,
would allow me.
If your escrow company is willing to use your buyer's fund to close your transaction, you can still double close, or you can just assign it to your buyer too. You don't even have to double close.
If
Since
the
they're a cash
lenders allow
buyer.
me, right? If the lenders allow me.
If the lender allows you, there's no
Yeah, because
lender. Your buyer's cash.
Oh, you talk the bank. I mean, the bank. Don't I have to disclose that?
What bank? Is it an
if I'm
REO
buying-
property?
Yeah, if I'm buying through an agent from a bank.
Oh, okay. If it's an REO property, then
Right.
yeah, that's a different story. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, in that case, then you will definitely need to have some type of a transactional funding lender involved. And so I don't know if you have enough margin to make that happen, unless your buyer's willing to pay you outside of closing.
Oh, I see. If I disclose that to them,
Right.
what I doubt, because why would they pay more?
Well, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Is that
I can't find the deals. I'm losing about three cash buyers because I can't find the deals for them.
well, why don't you drive that neighborhood, whatever neighborhood that they are looking for houses in,
Uh-huh.
Why don't you drive that neighborhood and try to look for sale by owner, for rent by owner,
I am. I'm driving around like crazy.
and you couldn't find any?
Nope.
Okay. So the only thing you can find are these REO properties then, is what you're
Yes,
saying.
that those areas, yes. It's
Okay.
too many. It's too many REOs in my area, but
Well,
there's not much.
Let me ask you this then. How much of a discount do you think you'll be able to get? Based, let's say, you know, like, okay.
We spread of $5,000.
Huh?
I spread of $5,000.
Well, a spread of $5,000 is not enough for a transactional lender to fund the deal.
Right.
So if you're gonna do it for less than $5,000, then you're gonna have to get them to pay you outside of closing.
Right.
Let me think about it this way. Let's assume that the property is listed for $100,000.
Yes.
Okay. And let's assume that you were able to negotiate it down to $80,000, and you're going to sell to them for $85,000, and they'll pay you $5,000 outside of closing. I think that they would sell it to you. I think they wouldn't mind paying you that.
Okay, that's a good idea. Okay.
You know, if the house is listed for $100,000 and you're trying to sell it for $105,000, then yes, they're not going to want to pay you that kind of money.
And how can I structure that since I'm not an agent?
Yeah, well, you're going to have to structure it outside of closing, and you're going to structure as a. It's kind of tricky. Because they're buying to live in, so I don't think they care to close it under a company. But then maybe that's not. Are they pretty easy to deal with?
Yes, yes.
You know, you can structure to where you make the offer under a name of like an LLC. And then you can sell that LLC to them at closing. So they'll be buying it under the name of a company instead of their name individually. And then after closing, they can then deed the house into their personal name.
Oh, that would be. They are easy to deal with, but they're Spanish, and they don't understand certain things. I think it would be too hard for them.
Right.
They are easy to deal when it comes to pricing and do directly deals with me.
Well, how about you fix a fence for them and charge them $5,000?
That's good.
Okay, I have to figure out. I'm trying not to lose them, you know.
Right. I mean, you're gonna have to, make up something. It's okay. Look.
If you think of something, throw me an email.
Well, I'll say it this way, and I'm going to have a disclaimer for this. All right. What I'm about to say, is not. It's just a hypothetical thing.
Okay.
I'm not saying that you can do it legally, and and so consult with an attorney or an advisor if you need more help with this. But the point being is this: only real estate agents can get paid to do transactions that they don't have equitable interest in. And equitable interest means that you are on title some way, somehow, either through a contract that you have with the seller, or something, or you have a lien against the property. Somehow you have equitable interest in that property. Then you can sell, and you don't have to be an agent for it. So, if you're trying to structure a deal where you don't have equitable interest in, it's possible that your buyer will pay you for a consulting fee, will pay you for a negotiation fee, and you know, and so you would have to do those things. Actually, let me think. Well, you will have to do those things outside of closing because of the bank that you have with the REO as the owner there. So that's happened to be outside of closing. So the answer is maybe you can do that. Just do remember that if something goes wrong, that what you did could be viewed as acting as an agent without a license.
Oh, I see. I don't want to risk that. But I can buy as, let's say I buy an REO, I put an offer of 60,000, and if I have to put in my name to do a transaction A to B and B to C if there is enough spread, like a 10,000, 15,000 spread.
Depends on how many days you need the money for, and so it's going to depend on. Normally with REOs, you got to check with the title company, but it depends on how fast the bank or the title company that's handling it for the bank is going to record that first transaction. So you have to close it with the bank. The title company has to record that transaction, record that deed to the county. And so another title company cannot close the deal for you until that deed is recorded. And so if it's electronically recorded, then that step is fairly quick. But if it's not electronically recorded, where they actually send somebody down to the courthouse, get it recorded, then it can take a couple weeks before it shows up on the county clerk's office for you to be able to close your second transaction.
Yeah, because the second transaction will be cash also.
Huh?
The second transaction B to C will also be cash.
Right. It doesn't matter, but the title company that closed the B to C transaction, they don't want to close it until your closing with your first seller had already been recorded successfully.
And I'm actually be recorded as on the property for a few days anyway.
Say that again?
I will be recorded that I own that property for a few days.
Well, you're going to set for a few days, so they're going to check. In those few days, they're going to check to see if it has been recorded. And they can't open title again and close it with you until that recording goes through.
Mm.
And so the reason why I mentioned that is because the longer you need the money, the more spread the transactional lender will require. So let's say if you only need it for 0 to 3 days, then they'll just require that you have a 10% spread. But if you need, let's say you need 4 to 10 days, they'll require 15% spread. If you need 11 to whatever days, 15 days or 20 days, they'll require 20% spread. So the longer you need the money, the more spread they need.
Oh, because they won't make much money, I see.
Well, they want to make sure, because it's very risky for them.
I see.
So the longer you hold the property, the more chances that buyer might back out of the deal. And if the buyer backs out of the deal, then the transactional lender might end up holding the property that they don't want.
Oh, because if I already have a deposit of so much of the buyer, can they still back up?
Why not? They just lose the deposit.
Oh, but that deposit covers for the spread, though.
Not really. Let's say it's $100,000 house, okay?
Right.
And let's say the transactional lender is going to loan you, $70,000 for this house, okay? And let's say the buyer put down $3,000 down. Well, that $3,000 might not be enough for them to take the risk of having a $70,000 loan that you might not find another buyer that's going to pay you even $70,000 for you to pay the loan off.
I see. So even though the escrow company tells me that they can close within 3 days, I shouldn't trust them.
No, if they say that they can close in 3 days, then you can trust them.
Yeah, that's what they're telling me, that they can close it's called the double closing in 3
Uh, uh,
days.
who is this escrow company you're talking to? Is it the
Yeah.
one from the bank?
No, it's a private one that I found.
Okay, well, see, then you have to explain it to them. It's like, okay, I have to close my first transaction with the bank, and chances are I'm going to have to close it at their title company.
I see.
The bank's not going to allow you to decide which title company to close it at. They decide that.
Oh, I see. Okay, that makes sense. That's the problem right there. So I should get away from the REOs then.
I mean, you can do REOs, but your buyers need to be more flexible. So like I said, you know, if we can have a way to explain it to them, or I know, you know, this gets a little bit more tricky. But you certainly can make the offer under the name of a trust, and then you assign the beneficiary interest of that trust to them. Since the buyer's using cash, you're not going to need a mortgagee clause or anything, so I think you'll be fine. You just have to explain to the buyer the benefits of buying it under a trust, and let them know that if they ever want to get it out of a trust and put it in their own personal name, you can help them do that anytime after closing. So I would do that.
Okay, I'll think for doing that on the trust. I have to talk to an attorney or CPA. What?
No, you can do your own land trust. You don't need to talk to an attorney or a CPA. I have the documents there that you can use to do that. Fairly simple.
Okay, I'm gonna look into that because I have 3 buyers and I need to do something with those 3 buyers.
Okay, yeah. The trick is you're gonna have to explain to them, you know, what the land trust is, and sometimes they might might get scared about that. But if they're cash buyer, then land trust would be just fine for you. So what you want to do, I found an article on the internet that explained the land trust really well. Let me see here, land trust agreements. Let me see.
The land trust is going to be in their land trust, not mine, right?
Well, when you hold on here, hold on, let me find it real quick first. So that okay. When you first make the offer to the bank, you're going to be the beneficiary of that land trust. Do you have a company?
I didn't register yet.
Okay, so it's okay. Well, so when you first make offer, maybe maybe you can just be the trustee and you have like somebody that you know or something being the beneficiary, or you can have them being your trustee and you be the beneficiary. And then right before closing, you're going to assign the beneficial interest to that to your buyer, so they become the beneficiary.
Oh, I see.
But go on Google and search for land trust advantages.
Okay.
And there's the very first link that returned to you. Click on that and read that. It has a pretty good explanation. That company specializes in doing land trusts for people, and so they have a really good explanation of what all of the benefits of using a land trust, so that you can use and explain that to your buyers.
Then I can do the REOs that way.
Right. That's how you're going to be able to do these REOs.
Okay. All right. Thanks, Tim.
You're welcome.
Hey, Tim, I'm going to go to Muhammad's answer. Thanks for answering that hard one for me. I appreciate it. You get the hard ones. I get all the easy ones. You get the hard ones, okay?
Okay.
Muhammad's asking what kind of paperwork needs to be done on owner finance. You guys grab a pencil. Let's just write this whole thing down. Okay, let's just start from the very beginning. You need to find a seller that will do owner finance. So you would secure that with a flex option. Okay, and we call that our little agreement. And then after you do that, you market the property, find a buyer, and then here's where all the fun starts. Now we've pre-qualified this person. The pre-qualify means as when the person's looking at the house, we're asking questions like, are you an American citizen? Have you lived in a house in the last 3 years? Those kind of things. So you know that they are a true first-time home buyer, and you know first-time home buyer as in the eyes of the IRS. Okay, so you just go through that little checklist I gave you a little while ago, and make sure that they're good to go. Okay, here comes the paperwork. What we would do is number one thing we would do is an application. And then from the application, we would run a credit check and a background check. And once that's finished, we show that to the seller and then let the seller make a decision if they'd like to have those people in their house or not. And if the seller says yes, then from there we would write a contract. In Texas, we would write a Texas Real Estate Commission contract and a seller with the seller financing addendum. Okay, in some other states you can do that as a land contract, but in Texas it's a TREC contract, T-R-E-C, the Texas Real Estate Commission, and a seller financing addendum. And then I've got a couple of CYA addendums. I've got one, a little addendum that says that you know if they don't get the $8,000 tax credit, then that's going to go on to the price of the house. I've got another one that says, you know, you are going to give us this $8,000 and it's going to be, you're going to give it to my little company's name and all that kind of stuff. So that's the paperwork that we have for the contract. Okay, and those are real easy to do. Just think of some things that you would need to have in that contract. Well, what if they don't pay me? Okay, then write a clause in there that says if they don't pay you, this is going to happen. Well, how am I going to get my check? Then write a clause in there on how to get your check. Just write it down, okay? And then make that an addendum to the contract. So from there, we send that off to the title company, and the title company then will pull title on it, and we'll close it at the title company. And then from that, then what I do is I take the HUD-1 document, I take the power of attorney, that 2848, IRS form 2848. I take a picture or a copy of their driver's license that they've changed the address on. So now let's go back. So here's what I'm sending to my CPA. Number one, I'm sending the HUD-1. I throw the contract in just for good measure. I don't have to have it, but I throw the contract in, okay? I also put the 2848 form in there, the IRS 2848 power of attorney, and then our CPA is asked for some picture ID with the new address. And so we asked them to close the house and then immediately run down there and get their address changed at the Texas Department of Public Safety. And I take a picture of their old license with their new address license on it. And then I take a 2009 taxes if they have it, or the 2008 taxes, and then we send all of that to our CPA to file it with the IRS. Okay. So if you didn't get that, raise your hand, and I'll go back and do parts of that again. But that's in a nutshell. That's kind of the paperwork, and that's kind of the order to do those things. Okay. Okay. RC's asking if he's got a $280,000 property, is that too high for owner financing? And the answer is it's not too high if you can find some people that can make those monthly payments and will buy that house. And now for us, we have some of those, and we have had some of those, but we like to get those houses that are like $100,000, $120,000 because they sell quicker. So it's okay to have those $300,000 houses. Just know that they're not going to sell as fast as $100,000 houses. Or you may just get incredibly fortunate, and somebody walks in and they're looking for a $400,000 house, and yours is just right. So it could that could happen as well, right? Let's see. How about California? Ron Nixon, you know, you and I need to talk because I've got a question about your house, but are these steps written down? Yes, they are. You just wrote them down, didn't you? Didn't you just write those down? Yeah, I've written them down, but I can go over them again, okay? Okay, if you didn't get it all, I'll go back and do it again, okay? Um, Tim, you still there?
I'm here.
Muhammad's asking about what about in California? How about California? I
California.
don't think he's asking if the beaches are nice. I think he's asking about owner financing deals.
Yeah, I mean, owner financing deal works in any market area that you want to do it in. For California, that would be the lower end of the market for California, and certainly not not the higher end. But with the income limit being raised, I mean, I don't know for sure, but I think even a $300,000 house could easily a buyer that buys a $300 house can easily fit that criteria and getting the tax credit, and so yes, I mean it works everywhere. And the only trick in California is making sure that you're not selling a property that is so upside down that the buyer would feel like a dummy to buy it. But I was talking to Sam Rodriguez who does it. I don't know if Sam's on the line right now or not, but who does it out of Los Angeles there, and he had a case where the home is currently $50,000. The mortgage payment is $50,000 more than what the home is worth, and I think it was like a $250,000 home or something like that. But his buyer did not mind paying $50,000 more just to get into the house without having to get a loan. And they just know that 5 years from now, or 5 years from now when the market turns back, that they will be on the upside potential, not on the downside. And so you certainly can do it in California.
Okay, great. Now, Ron's asking about this list again. Let me just show you my list. Let me see what you guys are seeing. All right, so here's the list that we use with the apprentice group. You guys I'll leave it up here for a while so you can write it down. They need to bring their state-issued ID and their tax returns from 09 or 08, and then a cashier's check for whatever the closing costs are going to be, for the HUD, on the HUD-1. Okay? For me, I need a sales contract, a seller financing addendum, and then I've made up another addendum A for the tax credit. Any kind of lead paint disclosures, any kind of HOA disclosures, property disclosures, you need to have all that in the contract as well. The IRS 2848, you need to get the insurance worked out on the property, and then I've got a little CYA letter, okay? And then after closing, we do a lot of closings with the different title companies, and so I have to send the documents to them. And I'm going to forward the IRS 2848, the W-2s, the HUD-1, and the ID to our with the new address to our CPA. So here's what has to go to your CPA down here, and then all of this is stuff that you need to bring to closing. Okay, all of that. Okay, and I'll leave it up there while we're still talking, and then you guys can keep writing on that. Okay. Is there an updated version of the flex option? Sal, we update our flex options all the time. Those are done in Word documents, so we kind of change them as we need them. If you've got a flex option to purchase and lease, I change the title on that one to be flex option to for wraparound mortgage or something like that. So those are Word documents. Tim, they can just change those as they need, can't they?
Right. I mean, the flex option, if you see it, is a pretty simple document, and so you can edit them as you feel needed. But the latest official update that I put on is in the members area. So if you just download the one from the members area, then that's your latest one that I updated. But people who use it, like Stan and other students, everybody sort of just edited a little bit to what they need, and yeah. But most of the updates is really just changing the title of the document. Very little editing that happens.
And Ron, CYA stands for Cover Your Assets, okay? Cover your tail letter. Tim, how would Muhammad partner with you on some deals, on due deals? What kind of paperwork and all that would he need from him?
Well, any deals that you have, you just send us the information on that deal, and you can submit it through the hotline. All of you guys have access to the hotline. Just submit it to us, and Amy will normally take that and email it to me and Stan, and then we'll contact you from there. So there's really no official paperwork, but just let us know as much as you can about that property.
Okay, I think we're getting close to the end of these questions. If you have any more questions, then put them down now. If you've not seen Tim's Happy Hour TV, you're missing something that's really enjoyable, number one, and it's life-changing, number two. So that would be what time, Tim? It's 8 o'clock Central.
Yes, it's the Happy Hour TV is 8 a.m. to 9 a.m. Central, and every day. We started this last week, and Stan was the first person we interviewed. But every day moving forward, on top of me teaching a mindset lesson for the day, we also interview an expert, someone who's successful, and so that way, you can model after their traits and their behaviors and their mindset, and so it's been really fun.
So Tim, you've interviewed four people now. What are some of the traits that they have in common?
Well, I guess the biggest traits they all have in common is they just do it. They're all hard workers. They're all hard workers. They're all very generous. Generous, genuine, honest people. Just really nice people. They're big students, and so they learn a lot. But they're all doers for sure, and they all work hard at doing. So that's the main. I guess that's the common thing they have among all of them.
Right. Okay. Good. And on the motivated seller list, where does that come from? Where do those leads come from?
We have a variety of different places where these leads come from, but primarily they come from our website called sellmyhomeforcash.com.
Right. Okay. Good. All right. I think that's all the questions we've got today. So good. We did good. All right. So I'm done. So whatever you have left, Tim, I'm good to go.
Awesome. Who is Jeff still doing his call right now?
He should be still on the call. Yes. So we have him going until 8 o'clock tonight.
Okay. So you guys definitely need to go and check the call. So go to you can either find it on the blog or you can find it on Ustream. Either way, but if you want to find it on the blog, then go to dodeals.com/LDTV. That stands for Live Deals TV. dodeals.com/LDTV. And if you want to find it on Ustream, then go to ustream.tv/dodeals. Ustream.tv/dodeals. And that would that would bring up my all of the shows that are in my account, and so if it's currently broadcasting, then it'll show it on there for you, and if not, then you can just click on one of the previous links, and and it'll give you access to the to any of the previous shows.
Okay, I think that's about it. Other than CYA still means cover your tail. Okay, your assets. So I think other than that, we're good.
Awesome. All right, everybody. Well, you have a great, great day, and we'll talk to you next week. Make sure you tune in to both of the Happy Hour TV show as well as the Live Deals TV. Commit to a schedule that you're going to call sellers every single day. And so as you don't need to be watching the Live Deals TV. You can just have it on as your accountability partner. And so as Stan or any of the students making their calls, you can make your calls too. I was watching, I forgot who was doing the call, but I was watching, and one of the students on there talked about how he made a call along the way, and he got 4 flex options out today, making the calls along the way. So that's really great. So, just do it. That's the most common trait among all successful people. They just do it.
Good deal. All right, guys. Well, we'll see you then next week, okay?
All right, everybody. You have a great one. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.